All right, we're following some breaking news here. The Skyfox is on top of this police chase. You see here involving this white truck. Here's the information. We know this is on Euclid and Imperial in National City. That's about all the information we have. We haven't even seen the police cars behind this guy yet, but we do know that they are pursuing this white pickup truck.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a work truck of some sort because, you know, not just a pickup truck, but also has those racks on the back. And like you said there, Jen, the Skyfox shot is in pretty tight, but we haven't seen any indication of police chasing. This guy's not driving particularly fast either. So maybe there isn't police right on his tail. Sometimes they do back off while the police chopper stays above and then kind of waits to see how it plays out. So it's not so much of a safety concern for other folks. But this guy's not driving more than what you'd expect him to drive in a residential neighborhood. Nevertheless, Skyfox and presumably the police chopper overhead.
Yeah, and you bring a good point. He's not really driving all that erratically there. He kind of did the California stop, the roll through the stop sign there. Almost looks like he knows where he's going. Very strategic in the turns he's making. And Andrew, you brought up a good point. We're watching him from the air, and so is the police or sheriff's chopper, no doubt, watching him as well. As often, we obviously know that this is a neighborhood, right? So police are making a very specific decision not to chase this person because they don't want him to be speeding through neighborhoods. It's important to note the time. We're 20 minutes past the hour at 4 o'clock, a time when a lot of kids are getting out of school. They could be walking home, walking in the area. There we see one pedestrian. And so they do not want to make this person more erratic. Here we're looking, the chopper zooming out, and it looks like they have set up almost a blockade there. Well, certainly the guy has stopped.
So he's stopped because there's that truck in front of
Right.
him, which may just be an inadvertent situation. This is at Imperial and 66th, we're told. But it kind of appeared, was there police right behind him? That's what it appeared anyway with that wide shot. I may have been mistaken. We only saw it for a split second. We're also getting word this may be a stolen vehicle. No
There
confirmation
he's picking up
yet.
some
but,
speed as well.
That's correct. So if he does have the authorities on his tail at this point, that would make sense if he's picking up speed for the first time since we've been seeing him. But for the most part, he's been, there's the spike strip right there. So obviously they are in pursuit. So there's the police right there on the bottom one that he's passing now. He's on the wrong side of the road. They laid out spike strips unsuccessfully because he drove around it. There's another one and he went right over it.
Right.
So they're happy that they were able to get that spike strip down in front of his tires. We'll have to see how this plays out in short order because pretty quickly here he'll probably, if they got it cleanly, lose his front tires.
He's on Imperial and 60th. We're told he's gone through 3 different San Diego County communities. He is in National City right now, which is just north of Chula Vista and maybe 3 or 4 miles south of the downtown area. Again, he's going through these neighborhoods, not really speeding through, but also not driving slowly, certainly. The 2 spike strips that were thrown down, one he did drive over, though I haven't seen any tires be popped yet. If this is a utility truck, oftentimes these trucks have pretty hefty tires, and so it may take 1 or 2 times driving over these spike strips for there to actually be some results in that one of the tires gets popped and he's unable to continue. But we've seen several blown stop signs at this point. Interesting, he's not getting on any freeways. The 5 freeway goes right along National City, and he is just staying in those side roads, at least to this point. He may indeed decide to change that up and pick up a freeway at some point.
Kind of interesting. Police are on are trailing him. Obviously, they were there waiting for him with those spike strips, but there he goes. He kind of fishtailing out a little bit. The fact that he's not going particularly fast, you'd think that they'd have an opportunity if they need to use a pit maneuver or something to that effect, maybe when he's away from the houses. That'd probably make more sense. But nevertheless, he's not going particularly fast, so that gives them an opportunity to try something like that if they feel like they need to make that move at that point. But right now, they laid down those spike strips. He went around one, seemed to go over another, but they may not have gotten it cleanly.
Again, we're being told that we think that this is a stolen vehicle. Whether or not that's why police first started chasing him in the first place, we don't know. We're seeing smoke there coming from the right front tire, which would indicate that that tire has indeed popped, and now he's going to start riding on the rim of that vehicle. But he is still going at a decent clip. I'm actually even surprised that they were able to lay the spike strips down, sort of anticipating his next move, as he is really weaving through these neighborhoods. Seems kind of like he knows where he's going, but then again, he could just be deciding random right turns and left turns to try and evade police capture.
Look at the front right tire. That one's definitely flat. The back right one, appears to be as well. But certainly the front right one is, you're seeing it's going to start dropping off pieces here pretty soon. And so that's going to hinder his ability to go. He is amazingly still able to go at a decent clip, considering the fact that he doesn't have much of a right tire on that flat tire. But
right, there's police
cops
again.
And he just went, well,
right.
went around, and they don't have any weapons out, which is kind of interesting. You know, you never know what a person like this might be capable of, especially as they try to get away, considering the fact that, you know, sometimes they feel like they have nothing to lose, depending on the situation, as far as whether they might have, might be a suspect in another crime, or whether it's just a stolen vehicle.
There they are. They're gonna. We may try to see them stop this vehicle here, or maybe throw out those spike strips. Interesting that they still kind of, I'm surprised the technology hasn't developed more, that they really just take this strip and throw it out in front of the car and hope he runs over it, which we saw them do twice, one of which he obviously did run over, because we're seeing that right front tire be popped, and it looks like even the back front tire. Does his windshield look like he's putting something up in the front of the windshield that we can't see?
That might just be the reflection.
No, I think he's definitely putting something up. Looks like he just ran over yet another spike strip. It could be the glare, but it looked to me like he was almost trying to put up a sun shield to maybe block police from seeing inside. At this point, you always wonder, there you see that right front tire, man, that's going to be on the rim here very shortly. If this chase continues, oftentimes police will try and contact the driver, but if this is a stolen vehicle, they have no idea who this driver could be, so there would be no way to try and get a hold of him and sort of do a negotiation while he's driving. At this point, their number one goal is to stop him so he does not create any danger to the nearby community, and a community with a lot of houses and a lot of families, as we're seeing here from these live Skyfox pictures.
Looks like he's pulling over now, so we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully he will surrender peacefully, but you never know if he's going to try to make a run for it. Police are right there on him, and as they get out and shield themselves behind the door,
it's the canine unit as well.
They're going to start yelling commands at him to get out and surrender. So if he does just that, and hopefully he does, he'll come out with his hands up. But let's take a look. He did open the door.
This is on 63rd and Brooklyn. If you're just joining us here in National City, where this 10 or 15-minute pursuit of this believed to be stolen white truck has now come to a stop with the blown right front tire at this point. He is not getting out of the vehicle, but it does look like he is communicating to some degree with police. They are telling him to come out, hands up, nothing in his person. They're going to have him come out, walk away from the truck, and likely turn around with his back toward the police and lay down.
Right. So there are seemingly about a dozen or so police officers to the right. They have their weapons out. We want to remind you these are live pictures. This is happening live right now. So obviously we can't anticipate what's going to happen next. But these officers are in position, as they have been trained to do, to try to get this person to come out peacefully and then to surrender, as Jen said. So if this person does in fact do exactly that, they have the dog out there as well, then he will get out, put his hands on the back of his head, and walk backwards toward them. I think he may lie down first. They may do that as well.
I'm seeing some hands up at this point. It looks like he is starting to comply. Again, officers with their body armor, their bulletproof vests on there. They are using both doors of that police SUV as a shield. Presumably this is National City Police. There also could be San Diego Police and sheriffs. Looks like something was fired right there. Did you just see that burst of smoke?
Not sure what that was.
Okay.
Not sure what that was, but it did appear that there was some sort of something to that effect. On the top
Again,
of the
they do have the canine out, which sometimes we do see that they'll release the canine. I think there could be two people in the car. Looks like there could be someone in the passenger side as well as on the driver's side. Again, they're continuing to try to talk. Looks like they're bringing the dog away from that SUV, kind of bottom right part of your screen. Again, these live pictures from National City. I'm sorry, Encanto. So the pursuit has moved into Encanto, 63rd and Brooklyn. Okay, something's being fired.
Shots are being fired,
into
guys.
there.
Shots are being fired.
Yeah, we're going to probably let's keep watching here. We may, again, these are live pictures that almost look like smoke bombs being thrown.
There's movement in the driver's seat.
Into that cab of that. I'm sorry, the front part of the truck there, as they are again trying to get this person to surrender. Right, that's their ultimate goal
here. Right, so you have to think about the safety of the officers too. Now look at the top right part of your screen. Other shots being fired.
But they're like
Okay, maybe pepper balls, and that may be the case. The top right part of your screen may be where it's coming from as well, so they may be trying to kind of force them out.
A non-lethal option to try and get that person to surrender and not be able to have any defensive movement, so they can come in, put him in cuffs, and again, if there is someone in the passenger side, that's how we knew it was likely pepper balls or some type of debilitating spray, because we saw those like puffs of, obviously now we know it was the pepper balls, the smoke there. I've never seen that live on television where they're firing into the cab. I'm kind of surprised, but that would make sense. Obviously they don't want to fire on someone unless absolutely necessary. This person came out with a gun, pointed at them or pointed at somebody else. But again, this person's still now in the truck, has refused to get out. And at this point, it could be because they're overcome by some of that smoke. Imagine being pepper sprayed in the face. That is possible,
but the idea, there's movement there. The idea is to get them out, to surrender at that point, to say that they can't be in there because of the spray of the pepper effects on them. Those officers obviously trying to protect themselves too. They're using nearby vehicles as shields. They're using their doors as shields, or in the top right part of your screen, using that wall potentially as a shield as well. They have to protect themselves and want to protect the neighbors more than anything at this point, to try to get this person, or more than one person, we don't know if there's more than one person in that cab, to surrender peacefully. They opened the door.
I was going to say, I saw the door starting to open.
And then they closed it right back up. There has been movement, nevertheless, since these, what we was assumed to be pepper ball sprays to go in there, there continued to be movement in the cab.
This is National City Police, we believe, leading the investigation as this chase started. There's more pepper balls. This chase started in National City. It's now ended in Encanto. Police believe the driver stole this white utility truck. Interesting to note, by the way, watch for that, because of the wind, that the smoke, I don't know if it's coming right back on those officers or not, but it could potentially have an effect on them too. There's still movement in that cab. Again, Sky Fox zooming in as much as it can in providing us really great coverage, but also knowing that, again, this is all live. You see more of those pepper balls coming into the front of the cab. This person refusing to get out. Again, we don't know if there is someone in the passenger side. I thought I saw some significant movement on the passenger side, but we do not know if there is somebody else in that vehicle. Look, he's rifling around with something. He's just sitting there. He's just sitting there putting his hand out and hanging out. It's interesting how many shots of that pepper spray. He's putting his head out now, hands out, doesn't have a weapon, but it doesn't appear. He is now getting out of the vehicle. And if he does comply, he'll put his hands up and then turn around. They'll have him turn around, and now it appears that he is going to be surrendering. You'd certainly hope, but he still doesn't seem to be complying with exactly what they're asking, which generally is to turn around, lie on the ground, or to turn around. Here comes the K9. Yep. That K9 wants to take him down. He is clearly trying to fight it off. Look at that. That's one way to end that situation quickly. They come in with a fire extinguisher, too, to potentially see if there's anything in that vehicle. But that dog is doing its job and ending this situation without it potentially getting worse. Obviously, this guy was not complying with what the officers were asking. Right. Even to the point where he got out, it wouldn't turn around. And we knew that. We have no audio of it, but because the police are so diligent in how they handle each of these situations, and Andrew and I have covered enough of them, that is standard protocol. You get someone out of the car and you tell them to turn around, get on the ground, hands up. They need to know that this person isn't a threat. And even though he didn't appear to have a weapon, the fact that he was standing there almost staring them down, they felt like there was a threat there, and so they released that K9 as a way to not only take him down, but even distract him, allowing the officers then to surround him, get him on the ground, get him in cuffs, as you see there, and end this situation relatively peacefully in the sense that no one was fatally hurt, and no other neighbors, it seemed, had any injuries or any type of damage. Right, only one person in the vehicle, as we can now tell, but a lot of those pepper ball sprays went in there. More than 20, I'd imagine. We counted 15 in short order, but even more were shot before that. And when you're not complying, then that is the result. They used the K9 to neutralize the situation. Like you said, he didn't appear to have a weapon, but there's no reason for them to believe that he couldn't quickly pull one out. So they obviously wanted to make sure that they could end the situation as quickly and relatively peaceful as possible. And that K9 did its job to end the situation in quick order. We were told that that truck that he was driving was stolen. At this point, police will now start searching through that vehicle to make sure that it is not dangerous, and then contacting, obviously, the owner to figure out, kind of backtracking, if you will, putting the pieces of this investigation together to figure out who this person is, why he stole the truck, and if there was any other elements to this crime that we are not seeing or we did not hear about. National City, as you see, is the one leading this investigation. The chase started in National City, which is just south of downtown, north of Chula Vista area. And the guy took police on about a 15-minute chase, more in neighborhoods, nothing of high speed, nothing all that erratic. I mean, he was blowing through some stop signs, but nothing that would indicate that he was on a tear, if you will, through the city. That said, he was doing this at a time that was where a lot of families are out and about. It's still light outside. It's 20 minutes past 4 o'clock, and kids were getting out of school. And so that was a real big concern as police were hanging back, really not trying to prompt this guy to go any faster than he already was in an effort to try to protect the public.
One thing I noticed that was interesting, too, was he almost seemed like he was circling. Because we saw the same, it would appear to be the same officers again and again who kind of were hanging out in the same spot waiting to see his next move. And he kind of came back around and back around. I don't know if he was contemplating his next move or just being defiant at that point, but he kept on going even after he ran over that spike strip. And we watched for over a period of probably about 5 minutes or so where that front right and ultimately it appeared that back right tire as well lost their integrity and started to come apart, and he had no choice but to pull over. But that wasn't the end of it, incredibly. I mean, he sat there and he was defiant, did not get out of the vehicle despite opening the door momentarily, and they shot what appeared to be that pepper spray balls into the vehicle, and he still was defiant. We have a chance to see some live pictures right now. Here we go. We are seeing some firefighters, San Diego Fire, and EMTs here treating somebody at the scene. It looks like an officer who...
No, I think this is the suspect.
Oh, this is the suspect. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the officer on the right side. Yes.
I'm guessing he's being treated for the dog bite,
yes,
right? That's got to be the most likely thing. The dogs are trained to bite an extremity to try and take them down. And in this case, when we see that video again, the dog leaps up and grabs this guy's arm, and it looks like it's his right kind of arm, shoulder area. Notice he's still cuffed. They are treating him and addressing his wounds, but he's still cuffed, sitting on the ground there. And so they want to make sure, I mean, obviously this is a well-trained, I think it's a German Shepherd, a dog from National City Police, and came down with a pretty vicious bite. So they will likely transport him to the hospital, where they will have guards outside his hospital room, making sure no funny business happens.
And inside.
And inside. That's what I meant, I guess, outside his room. And then eventually transport him to the jail. We saw him in the back of the squad car, so I'm wondering if they put him in the squad car and then he complained of injuries from that dog and then took him out, called the medics, and now we're taking him to the hospital.
Or they just simply saw how severe it was.
Sure.
That was something that was going to require some attention. There was 2 ambulances that appeared there in addition to all of the other authorities. We also, by the way, do have a reporter who is getting some information right now who is there on the scene. It's Felicia Martinez. So momentarily, when Felicia is able to get a clean shot and get some new details for us, she's going to join us live as well, because we want to try to get some more information. Again, we just learned that this truck appeared to be stolen from a demolition company in Chula Vista, and that this chase ensued from there. Which
would tell us that the suspect then took that vehicle and went northbound. Chula Vista is south of where this has happened.
As we see, is going to now be transported to the hospital. His right arm is wrapped up, and here is our live pictures from the ground. You see this guy has his arm wrapped as he's getting ready to go to the hospital. Those bites are no joke. I mean, these dogs are trained to get them and get them good. And you're getting a pretty clear picture here of the guy who was leading National City Police on this chase.
And here he is being wheeled into the ambulance there. We've got those 2 pictures, our ground shot as well as from the air from Sky Fox as well. He's not saying anything. I don't know if any of our reporters down there can hear us or want to ask him any questions about, what he was thinking, what he was doing. Likely he's not going to answer. But you see, obviously, all of the TV reporters there, one of the photographers there with the microphone out in case he does decide to speak. Not saying anything. Young man, likely in his late 20s, early 30s. Again, right arm wrapped because of the dog bite. He also may have, his eyes may be red from some of those pepper ball sprays. He got the cab got hit with several pepper balls, but it looks like really the dog bite injury is the main thing that they are concerned with. They're going to load him in that ambulance, and a squad car or two will follow them to the hospital.
You can see it on his face. Situations like this do not end well when you make a bad decision like this. You're not only putting a lot of people at risk, you're putting yourself at risk, and ultimately you're ending up in the hospital.
But it looks like Felicia Martinez is ready. She is live there on the ground. We see her from the helicopter shot. Felicia, what are you seeing and hearing there on the ground?
Well, you know, we're seeing a lot of residents out here all very curious as to what is going on. This here, though, is the truck, dirt cheap demolition. We have been given confirmation this was a stolen vehicle, possibly, you know, looking like some sort of work truck. Whether or not this suspect worked for this company or not, that is still unclear, but this is the truck that he was actually driving. If you take a look here at this car, or this truck's tire, you can see the damage from hitting the spike strip, and then even the back tire here, take a look at this back tire on the right side, completely demolished. And he was driving on this after hitting that spike strip. You guys remember him going in and out of the neighborhood. It seemed like he was circling. He was going on this truck before it finally was disabled here in the 500 block of I believe Ferguson. So yeah, I mean, this is right in the middle of a neighborhood. It all ended about 4:30 is when this suspect came out of the vehicle. At first, he wasn't coming out. He had opened the door, and police were surrounding the truck, and they ended up deploying several rounds of pepper balls at the driver in this truck. And then he shut the door, if you remember, and eventually he came out about 4:30, and that's when a canine was deployed, and they eventually apprehended him, took him in. He was seen by medical just a few moments ago. When we got here, he was being looked at by medical, and then he was taken just minutes ago. And if you take a look again at the front side of the tire, you can see the damage done there as well. Just completely shredded tires are what you're looking at.
Pretty rare that we get the opportunity to see inside a vehicle that was involved in a chase this quickly thereafter, and also get an up-close look at a vehicle like this. I mean, this vehicle was disabled very heavily, obviously, by the efforts of those police officers, and now we have a chance to see what's inside as well, which is very interesting to see as well.